And hi there. Welcome to Hour 2 of Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole, and here's Eric Stormer with me. Hey, Eric.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so this is all about improving your home and improving your life, and it's also about improving the very important space called the kitchen, right? So we have been spending many months, as you all know, working on the Cindy Kitchen project. And it's finally all done, and I hope that you today will go to cindykitchenproject.com because the video that shows the whole story, all the excitement, the befores, the durings, and the afters, it's done, and it's there. And I thought that today we would talk about it. And Eric, we have the Jans in the studio with us.
Yay!
Yay!
The Jans!
The Jans are here. The chicks are in the house. We got Jan Ledyard, our certified kitchen and bath designer who did all the beauty work. And we have Jan Harrington,
Hello.
the professional licensed contractor whose team of guys and your wisdom together, we were able to bash out a wall, get all the electrical correct. The bones of the kitchen are looking great.
That's
and
right.
now we have a nice, beautiful space. So thanks, Jan and
do.
Jan.
Yeah.
Can I just interject one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
I've had a sandwich and I've had eggs in that kitchen, and they were the best sandwich and eggs I've ever had in my life. Thank you, Jan.
So
You're welcome,
we
Eric.
thought we would spend the whole hour talking about what this whole kitchen project was like. And if you have a question, you can call in at 888-KFWB-980, 888-539-2980. Maybe you're thinking about doing a kitchen, and we were thinking about it for a long time. And so first, let's take everybody back, Jan and Jan, to assuming that no one has seen the before. If you haven't, you've got all the pictures, everything's there at cindykitchenproject.com. But starting with you, Jan Ledyard, you came into the kitchen. I said, Jan, we want you to help us. And you said, okay. And I said, well, it's an orange kitchen. And then what did you think and what did you say?
It was orange. It was definitely orange.
Yeah.
It was not only orange, but it was just not functional. The space was crammed. There was cabinets too low. You were doing the peep-through thing on the peninsula there. You really didn't have that much counter space for working. I mean, the whole thing, even though you'd worked it for a few years, it really wasn't a really functional space to be in.
And when you say functional, you mean that we want to, just like a chef would operate in a kitchen, have everything almost like you're doing a dance, right? It just works like beautiful choreography.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I put the kitchens together, I like to do stations. So you've got your cleanup station, you've got your prep station, the cooking station, and then the food storage stations. As important as the kitchen triangle is, to me, the stations are more important. Everybody uses the kitchen different.
And
So it's really important to know how you cook, what you cook, and how you buy and store your food.
And
then I create a kitchen around that.
And it's interesting, too, because I think that after you work with professionals like you guys, that now all of a sudden you're inspired to use your kitchen more. I mean, you thought that you used it a lot before, or maybe you never did. For me, I used it, but now I just always want to be in there. So Jan Harrington, as our contractor, when you said, okay, I'm going to work with you guys, what did you first think of that orange 1950s kitchen?
Well, I love orange. I just didn't love it in the kitchen. And
You know, the orange is the color of the year, by the way. Have you heard?
Is it?
Tangerine.
Tangerine.
Tango
Well, tangerine. Now,
is
this
the big
was-
color, according to the Pantone folks. But anyway.
Okay, well, that was a stretch from the orange that was there, but that's besides the point. I think what struck me most when I first walked in was that you had three beautiful, distinct spaces. And in order to enjoy one another's company, you had to literally all be in one of those three spaces.
So what do you mean by three spaces?
You had your family room, you had your kitchen, and you had your dining room. And they all touched one another, yet no one could ever see one another.
And it felt like you were kind of like a little rat going round and round and round to
It
get to
really
one
was.
place.
And for us to just open that space and create such a wonderful environment that everyone, no matter where they were, could speak to one another and feel your presence, I think that made all the difference in the world. And that's kind of what struck me right
Okay.
away, was that we were too closed in.
So let's get Eric's point of view, because Eric, as a contractor as well, who's worked on a lot of things, and you were talking to me about this project, and you've been kind of checking in on how it's gone from beginning to end. But as we first started, what were your fears and your hopes and dreams for me, Eric?
Well, my biggest fear was that when I went into the kitchen to try and grab something off of a shelf, that low peninsula might give me some sort of a concussion.
Because it was on wheels, you mean?
Yeah, and it just, to the Jan's point, it really was cut off from all the other rooms. And now I got to tell you, when there's good design in place, which is what actually happened here for sure with the Jans, the entire space can just open up and come alive, and everybody's relating, and you can the eye line goes to everybody in every room, and that just makes you feel like you're in a larger space, even though you have three separate and distinct rooms. So what I love about it is that now you can sit in that little fireplace area, and by the way, we didn't even know you had a fireplace, kind of, the way it was.
Yeah.
So when that all opens up now, there are really great family relatable areas, and I've sat many times in that room and watched you and Bill, eat ham sandwiches.
Right. It is. It's fun. It now becomes a playtime, really. I mean, both of you, Jans, have used the word play. The kitchen is a fun place to play, to socialize, to not only to entertain and to work, but to live.
Right.
And it really now is a livable space. Mm-hmm. So as people are hearing this and thinking about, gosh, a kitchen is on my list this year, we want to walk people through the whole process because before you get out any of the tools and get the guys to start bashing things out, a lot of decisions have to be made. And so, Jan Ledger, talk about some of the things that we had to think about, whether it is the cabinets, the countertops, the appliances, but even before that, what did we have to decide on so people know?
Well, I think one of the most important things, as Jan said, was really how to make that living space more functional and open everything up. I mean, it used to be where the kitchen was kind of kept to one side of the house. Nobody went in there. It was the room where the food was prepared, and then you went somewhere else to eat it. Now what we're doing is the kitchen is the center of the house. It's the hub. It's where everybody hangs out for parties, whether it's just a few or a lot for a big family gathering. So most of the time now what we're doing is opening up the spaces. So, but having said that, sometimes it's not architecturally correct. You can't just go blowing walls out all over the place if you've got, for example, like an old craftsman home, or, you have to really work with the architecture of the home as well. So it's, you're trying to achieve creating a new space, make it more functional, but at the same time, it's really important to keep the integrity of the house. Mm-hmm. So when I first walked into your kitchen, the first thing I wanted to do was blow out all those walls, which that's great from a design standpoint. I mean, I can say, well, I'm going to knock all these walls down and we're going to open it up and, we're going to do this. But then we have to bring in the other Jan, and say whether that is we're able to do that. I mean, it's sometimes you can say I want to blow this wall down, but structurally you can't do that.
Bring that wall down. It was kind of like that. So Jan Harrington,
please bring that wall down.
It kind of had that political significance, didn't it? Because there was, we had to agree, Bill and I. There was a little bit of conflict on whether we can afford doing that, right? So talk about, when you want to expand your space. That sounds artistically wonderful, but there's money involved. There's getting the city involved and the permits. So talk about that.
Well, there is the city has to be involved because yes, we need a structural permit so that you're protected. Mm-hmm. They're that neutral third party that tells you that I did my job correctly. But before that even happens, we have to have our structural engineer come in, draw a specific set of plans, which I will then build from. And that basically means that we're driving concrete piers into the ground to re-support what we're taking down. So we're putting a new beam usually above your ceiling line to correct that opening, to give it the support that it needs to structurally be as wide open as we made your kitchen family room. Mm-hmm. That was the only way we could open everything up. And that was an unforeseen thing. We thought possibly, since it was just that we thought a fairly neutral wall, we might be able to take that down, but it wasn't until we skinned the wall, meaning we took all the drywall off and exposed the studs, did we realize that we had to get an engineer in there.
So that's one of the lessons, is sometimes there are surprises.
There are often
surprises, right?
Yeah. And I would say within the first week of construction, when you're doing your demo work, all of the unforeseens show themselves. So within the first week, you will know what your additional costs will be. And we can kind of talk you through and say this is a possibility, but until we get those walls open, we're not certain about that. And then once we have our fixed costs once again, and usually at that point we just sail through. And
yeah. We sail.
Oh, yeah, sail through. That's right.
Hey, hang on, Eric. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Eric, I think as a follow-up question, give us a clue. What are you going to ask us about, Eric?
I just want to ask the Jans about something so super fancy.
Fancy. Okay, it's going to be fancy. You bet. We got fancy answers. We got the Jans in the house. Jan Ledyard with Yorkshire Kitchens and Jan Harrington, our contractor with J. Harrington Construction, as we talk about the Cindy Kitchen Revealed. You got to check the video. It's up there, you know. We're talking about it now, and you can call in if you have a question as well as 888-539-2980. Cindy Dole, Eric Stromer, Home Wizards. We continue. Oh, yeah, that's the Jans. They made my dreams come true. Home Wizard Cindy Dole here and my buddy Eric. Eric Stromer, wouldn't you say that my dream came true? You're pretty impressed with the kitchen, aren't you?
Yeah, I have to tell you, I love the Jans with all my heart and soul. You know, I've been doing this for 25 years as a general contractor, and they're right up there with the best of the best. So hats off to Jan. Here's to you.
Well, we're talking about the whole project and how it came together. And Jan say hi. Hi. The microphones need to be turned up just a little bit. Say hi again.
Hi.
There they are. Jan Harrington will want to identify your voice. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
She's our contractor, and Jan Ledyard, our designer. Hello.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
Eric, you said you had a fancy question. What was your question just before
yeah.
the break?
So guys, it's always, you know, obviously whenever you're doing a budget, I guess I wanted you to speak to the folks about what kind of reserve do you think would be necessary in the event of that first week where you pull the walls down, you realize that there's something that might have to be amended or changed. What would you recommend in terms of a percentage of a budget to have in reserve in case that does show
Jan
up?
Harrington's nodding her head yes. Go ahead.
Well, I think before I even get started writing my initial contract, I talk to my clients about this particular aspect of the job. And I always ask them to have at least a 10% contingency budget just in case. Now, we may or may not use it, but I think if you have that on a $100,000 job, you have an additional $10,000 that could be there for the unforeseens, that is generally wise thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not struggling. You're like, oh, I can't come up with another 5,000 or 10,000. Our unforeseens are generally not that much, and one thing I would say is that once I'm on the project, if we find something that's unforeseen, you're not getting hit again with all the setup charges and the come-out fees and all of those things. We are there. I generally just try to cover my labor costs once I'm on the job. I've written a contract. I appreciate the contract. This is something that neither of us were really anticipating, so I will give you my absolute best cost on it to cover my labor and the materials that I need. And that way everybody is in a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm. And Jan, from a design perspective, we always change our minds, right? As we start shopping for all the goodies, we might want something fancier. So how much should we be reserving for those possible added charges that are unforeseen, you think?
Well, usually from the design standpoint, I try to talk to my clients right from the beginning and get a feel for what their budget investment is going to be. And then I can kind of steer them in the right direction for the cost of the appliances, because the appliances is a big ticket item, the cabinetry. There's so many options out there these days that you can do, as in the cafe line, which is a phenomenal product, and it's not the top of the line pricing as far as appliances go. So
it's under $10,000 for the whole suite of all the appliances,
and they're beautiful products.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like a professional range, mm-hmm. basically, mm-hmm. for a residential mm-hmm. kind of budget. So I try, right from the very beginning, it's important to me to talk to my clients about how they cook in their kitchen, what they're going to cook, and then I can steer them in the right direction as far as appliances. Same with the budget. I can steer them in the right direction as far as what we're looking at with cabinetry, countertops, flooring, tile. Tile, you can pay $5 a square foot for tile. You can pay $50 a square foot for tile. Mm-hmm. So it's really important from my standpoint to get that feel right from the very beginning of where we're going with the budget, and then I try to keep my clients on track, because sometimes they've got
you get into la la
I want
land.
to do this, or I take them to the tile store. And
it's those darn shows like Home Wizards that make you want the bigger, more expensive. But you can do a kitchen for probably, a really, really very insignificant change to a kitchen for, well, I guess just changing out your appliances. So somewhere like around $5 to $10,000, right? And then up and up it goes, depending on
Right.
what you want to, all the bells and whistles,
Yes.
right?
Can I also want to speak to something that I think is really important for the listeners to understand, and that's the idea that a designer and a really experienced contractor may feel at the outset like an extravagance. But when you get halfway into a project and you're kind of flying solo and you don't have anybody to guide you, and I think what you guys do so well is you take the project on, you kind of approach it with this loving hand that doesn't make you feel intimidated or threatened, but like you're a part of the process as the client, and it doesn't alienate the client so that there's this strange conflict, and you're really ushering everybody through this process together, and that's a really unusual skill set in this whole world of construction.
So
and
it's
design.
a friendly, pampered feeling, but it's also a time and money saving issue.
There's
because
no question,
yeah,
because if it's designed right in the first place, the change orders, which are those upcharges when somebody decides all of a sudden they don't like what is happening, those don't have to occur because it's been thought out from the design perspective well in advance. And the Jans have seen this so many times that nothing will throw them. And,
they're not
and,
scared.
when
Honey
you're trying
Badger's
to-
not scared. That's what
No,
these
she's not. No, she's not.
That's what these Jans are, honey badgers. They take
Yeah.
what they want.
And I guess for the listeners, it's really important to understand that cost and that consideration on the outset of a project like this, because it's definitely going to save you money, and you're going to get a way better designed environment that you'll be way more content with at the end of the line. And it's a rare experience when a guy or a girl says, I did it all myself. The subs came, I handled everything, and it's perfect. That just doesn't happen that often. So I really urge you folks to take a look at the Jans or any team like this who has both angles.
And I think and besides the focus, the clarity, and the pat on the back and holding your hand feeling, I mean, both of you guys gave us some ideas that I would never have thought of. I mean, let's first talk about the cabinetry. Now, Jan Ledyard, you decided and urged us to come up with 2 different colors of cabinetry. Who knew? I mean, a lot of people think you're kind of locked into this world of it has to be one color. So talk about that, because that was a real eye-opener for me.
Well, because we opened up the space there and just trying to make all 3 rooms integrate into one, livable space, what I was trying to do with using the color contrast was to bring in other furniture that you have in the other rooms. So you have the dark cherry cabinetry in your dining area, and then in the laundry room we wanted to lighten it up. So to use the mixture of the cherry and then the glazed painted finish
The
as a
chiffon.
contrast, the chiffon
With the
That's
Tuscan
right.
glaze.
That's right. Yeah, it sounds good enough to eat even. It just makes a really nice contrast.
So you have,
and
you
then-
have a mahogany, darkish brown looking, and then a creamy, almost beachy white. And it's great because I was kind of torn between the 2 of them, and
Right.
now I get both.
That's it, exactly.
See?
And then also with the countertops, you were torn
Yeah.
between the 2 colors on the countertops.
Yeah.
So by doing the contrast on the cabinetry, we were also
You have
able to
more
do
options.
the same thing.
It's great. And what's the
Options,
term
yes.
that you use? It almost makes the style of the kitchen have a longer life.
Yeah, I try to, unless you are going for a specific style, again, like a Craftsman or a real, French country.
Transitional kitchen is what you
transitional.
call it
Yeah,
now?
you
That's
want, it's a huge investment, and you're probably only going to get to do this once. So what we try to do is create something that's going to look good and still work with the architecture of the house, 20 years from now. So we don't want to do something that's in fashion, so to speak. We want something that's really going to work, and it's not going to be outdated.
Yeah.
Like a 50s
right.
kitchen gets
That-
outdated.
Like that
after a while.
avocado, whatever, or that,
or
filament.
orange
Exactly.
cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jan Harrington, you and your team also gave us so many great suggestions in terms of the electrical and things that we may not have thought of if we didn't have the advice and the guidance of your professional team, which was really important.
We did.
Yeah, of course you did.
Well, to us, there's just a basic layout, what we consider a basic layout, because you've got to have task lighting in very specific areas of the kitchen. So we outline everything so that you can see what you're doing when you're at your stove, when you're at your sink. If you're just in the center island, you want to have task lighting directed downward. So those things kind of come naturally to us. I don't know that there was anything unique about it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like one of those Hell's Kitchen chefs these days. Cindy
Yeah.
Dole here, Eric Stromer,
Well,
Home
when we
Wizards. We
come
love
back,
to help
we're gonna
improve your
talk
own
more
and
about
improve your
both
life.
of
And
you
we're talking
and
about
the
the team
kitchen,
that
the
we
City
had
Kitchen
working
project
on this great
has
kitchen.
finally come to
what
an
it was
end.
like to
When I
live
say
without a
finally, it
kitchen
really has
as
gone
we were
by so
washing our
quickly, but
dishes in the
finally,
tub
because
outside.
I've been so excited
and
to
now
share this
it's
video,
so much
and
fun
we
to
have
actually have
the
a
reveal
dishwasher
video.
again
A lot of people have been
and
asking,
to
when is it
entertain.
coming?
And
It's
I hope
up
you
there
guys will
now.
check out the
If you
video.
go to
You see the gems in it. If you go to
CityKitchen.com,
City Kitchen
it's
Project.com,
there. It's the
Eric
first video
Stromer,
that you
Cindy
see, and it
Dole.
takes you
We'll
through
talk
the
more
whole
about how
process,
you two
and you'll see
can
the
make
Jans
this
who are in
part
the
of the
studio
home
today. Jan
as
Ledger,
special
the
as you want it
designer,
to be.
and
Home Wizards
Jen Harrington, our
continues after
contractor.
this. So welcome, ladies. And it was so much fun working with you guys, and it did go by so fast. I mean, was this faster than most of the kitchens, Jan, or is it pretty much always that?
Pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
around
about
the
maybe
same.
3 to 4 months max, and then
Maximum,
there's
yeah.
a few little things afterwards that kind of trickle in and out. But I mean, the bulk of the work. And boy, let's talk about after you decided and helped us decide that we wanted to get rid of that wall, right?
Yes.
That went by pretty quickly. Getting the wall out and putting the new support in. Talk
Yes.
about that. I mean,
Yes.
basically, we had a very small kitchen. How would you describe the measurements of the kitchen and with that wall that divided the two rooms, the kitchen base
And
to the family room? Yeah.
What was it, about a 13 by 13 in the kitchen and maybe 15 in the family room?
Mm-hmm.
So by opening it up, you've got your 28 by
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a decent
15 or so.
space.
So the effect is that it feels so much grander and greater and wider and more spacious.
Mm-hmm.
But space flow planning is very important to anything that I do. That's where I initially look at a home from. I'm a space planner by education, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at it. How is it going to look once we tear out walls? Is it going to be? Does it have the flow that it needs? As long as we're not breaking things up, cutting into things, and it looks like things are just scabbed on. That's the worst kind of remodeling that I can think of. I want it to look like it was always there from the day that house was originally built. And we achieved that, I think, in your home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was real critical for me, is to make sure that we didn't look like we took a wall down, but it was just haphazardly done. It has to flow.
It has to have purpose.
Yes, it does.
And it also has to, and it does look like it was always that way.
Right.
And
to, Yes.
Right.
And then to address the quickness of taking that wall and opening it up, I think the important factor there is we have to support two sides in order to take the wall out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're literally having two false walls built to support what we're taking out. We don't want to leave that there very long.
Right.
So I would say that if we can get that done, first of all, get your piers concreted under the house right away, get your piers set in.
Mm-hmm.
When we take that wall down, we want to get that done in a full day. So we have our entire team in there. We make sure that everything's structurally sound, supported, take the wall down, get the new beams in, and support those immediately so that,
Yeah.
and then breathe a sigh of relief because the roof is still standing.
Yeah, we're not collapsing.
Exactly.
But in terms of if people who are listening go, I always wished I could push that wall out. How much would you say should we think about in our budget that would be added onto a budget potentially by bashing out a wall?
I would say realistically anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 depending on the length of that wall.
Okay.
And I think by the time we did our engineer and the piers and everything else, it was about $5,000 to $6,000 additional.
Yeah. I mean, it's
On
amazing
that
how
length.
expensive a beam can be. That support beam was
But that
a
support
few
beam
grand,
is,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's important, and boy, it does open up the space so beautifully.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about not only having the space with the stations, right? You wanted to create a kitchen for us, Jan Ledger, designer with Yorkshire Kitchens, that because you know that we like to entertain and to cook, but you also wanted it to be a place where we can hang out.
Right.
So how did you? In your design, because you do a lot of your designs by hand as well as in the computer,
I do.
how did you put all that to work in your mind for us?
I Well, that's a tough question. I don't really know. I think it's just the experience and the knowledge that I've put together over the years. Sometimes I can just go into a space, and even though you still have the old cabinets in, what I actually see are the empty walls. I'm looking at bare walls.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I walk into the space and I start talking to you about what your desires are as far as the product and how you function in the kitchen, my mind just kind of goes there and starts putting it all together. And usually by the end of the first interview, I have a pretty good idea in my mind of what I want it to look like. So this wall's got to go. We move the sink over here, and then we start talking about the different product. I can usually visualize the color, the cabinetry, the finished product pretty much right from the beginning. I don't know. My mind just kind of goes there. But it's really important to me to know from my clients who's going to be working in the kitchen, how many people are working in the kitchen, what kind of spaces we need to create for the food prep. Because, a small kitchen is kind of hard if you've got 2 or 3 people in there that all want to be in there cooking and cleaning up, and just the guests are all
You know what
in
they
there
say
at
about
the same
too many
time.
cooks, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just you can't cram them all in. So making sure that we're going to create a space that is again functional, but on top of that, we also have to follow city codes and guidelines, and pull the right permits and use the right kind of materials. We're trying to bring in as many green products nowadays and energy efficient products. So really tying it all together is really important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Jan Harrington, I know that you do a lot of your own custom cabinetry.
I
right?
do.
And cabinets, really, that's one of the main decisions that you have to make, right? So talk about, in terms of both of you, the cabinets that we chose, we made our choice, and we love how they're installed, which was so helpful thanks to Karen and on your team with Yorkshire Kitchen. But Jan Harrington, when you were looking at a client who says, I want to have cabinets, and I don't know whether I should just buy the store-bought kind or have them custom-made, what do you say to them?
Generally, what I say is I can probably build you a cabinet to meet your needs for less than what you can buy them for at a retail store. And the benefit is that I don't have what they call fillers. Every inch of space is usable space because I'm building them to fit your unique kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that most cabinets are 24 inches deep. Should you want them 26 deep, I can build them 26 deep. Should you want an angle built in, I can do that. I can narrow something else down to 12 inches. So I can really put a custom touch to all of your cabinets and give you some really fun stuff like over the refrigerator. Generally wasted space. I can do a double set of doors. I can do them 2 feet deep, and we'll put slatted cubbies in there so that you can put all your big platters and bakeware in there and just slide them in and out rather than picking them up off the bottom shelf and trying to find the one, of course, that you want that's way at the bottom. So we try to make it very user-friendly, and so basically we can custom design it to fit your needs.
And the installation of the cabinets, I mean, when you look at the video and you see the reveal, and Eric, I know you've seen it up close because you're a real stickler for this, it's all about how the molding and those joints come together, right, Eric? I mean, and you'd say that this is pretty much the best of the best how it was done.
Yeah, I mean, if you see trim work done and there are big dark gaps everywhere, you know that the person should be strung up by their thumb.
Yeah.
In the case of the Jans, it's seamless. I mean, it really is. You can tell the craftsmanship, and every single person on the construction crew, I thought, was really well trained. And here's something that people really don't ever think about, which I think it's important to talk about. How do you leave a job site? Do you come in and put your stuff there and leave it in a feeling of chaos and disorder? No, because then that makes the homeowner feel nuts and the experience is really unpleasant. What I love about what you guys did is that you really had a clear workspace. It always felt like it was organized and orderly, and that's a huge part of the business. And when I see people work that way, I know that they know what they're doing.
And the dust was really minimal. I mean, because you think, there's going to be just dust. I mean, you hear about that. Watch out. You better put, cellophane all the way back into your bedroom closet because it's going to end up in your clothes there. And we ended up not doing that, and we were okay. I mean, you guys and your crew, Jen Harrington, you had this little bubble where all the construction was underway. So in our living room, I mean, yes, we did get some dust there, but it was really kept to a finite space.
Yes,
so that was respectful, and professional.
It's girl power. That's what it is. It's
Girl
girl power.
Yeah. Back to the cabinet molding, and Karen, who did a great job. I mean, we had, because it's a 1950s home, the ceiling isn't level, and so you had to do some artwork because sometimes the molding, had to play trick with the eye so that it looks like it's even, right?
Right. Well, the molding's the bling. It really is the final touch that really sets it all off. And we had some issues there with the ceiling.
Because a lot of ceilings in California aren't really flat, are they? They're all of a sudden they settle, and
it's something to do with the earthquake.
A little earthquake action, yeah.
But again, going back to the cabinetry, I think custom.
If you hear any noise, it the boys and ladies now.
Oh yeah.
With the economy as it is, a lot of people are in
Yeah, and I think Eric Stromer, the odds are in your favor. We got 3 ladies here, and Eric
Hey,
Stromer.
So
It's ladies'
really
night because we had the
important to me to
Jans
work with
working on the Cindy Kitchen.
homeowners
Hey,
as
Cindy Dole here
we
with my
are
pal
all,
Eric Stromer. This is Home
aging.
Wizards, and
We know
we're
we're
having
gonna
some fun
stay
talking
in the
about
place that we
the
are
project,
now.
the
So
Cindy
20
Kitchen
years from
project,
now,
which you've
so
been
we're
hearing.
gonna
Evolve with
see
you,
the video.
right?
We want to be able to still work in that
CindyKitchenProject.com.
kitchen,
The final
so
reveal video.
the ADA
I'm really so
requirements,
tickled about it, and I hope that you like it as well,
crucial here in
because
California.
you might
Really
need a
a story
wheelchair
told
there.
there.
One
Our
might need a,
purpose with this project
your dog
was
might need a
not
walker.
only
because
because
we wanted
dog,
to
yeah,
improve our
so-
own kitchen
so
and had to.
making it a
But we
really
wanted to kind of
functional
take you
space,
along with us on
as
this
we
ride
age, and
and
going
learn
back to the
together, because there are
cabinetries,
so many
again,
overwhelming
adjusting
possible
the height,
things out there,
and
and
the
it really
depth,
pays off,
and
as
also
Eric
the
pointed
interior
out so
components is
beautifully,
really
that if
important.
you're we'll get more to that. We have a quick break. You're listening to Home Wizards. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, and our team, the Jans, are in the house because the Cindy Kitchen Project video is up. Check it out, the reveal. Go to CindyKitchenProject.com. Boy, it was so fun having some of the accessories, the lighting, the hardware,
Yes,
the
it
color, and the
was.
fun
It
choices
was. We
on that
talked a
most
lot
important
more.
space in
We
your
laughed
home.
a lot
You
more.
do. And you were saying that women in construction, that it becomes a different approach on the project. No offense to you, Eric. I mean, Eric's a very empathic listener and talker, but a lot of guys may not talk as much.
I think that's probably true. I think that particularly with the women in the house, we tend to sit and talk a lot more about the finished details and how the tile is going to lay out and what colors we're going to use. And gosh, when that's done, even though I don't get involved in the fabrics, I want to talk to them about it because I have such an interest in the finished look of a project. So it makes me happy to talk about those things.
And you're always on the phone. You're on my speed dial. You're always there talking. And Eric, you can relate to that, right? I mean, because you, again, are a very sensitive talker guy. But let's face it, a lot of those guys in construction don't talk, and that's where the communication breaks down.
Right.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, if you don't have that ability to communicate with your client, understand what their needs are, and to your point, just have that empathic ability to kind of sense when it's time to shut work down or obviously clean up or keep the job site moving forward, especially also when it comes to money conversations and dealing with relationship issues, which come up all the time when you're remodeling a home. You end up sort of becoming like a part therapist, part contractor, part designer, and you have to have that ability to kind of really let the feelings be welcome and honored and open. Versus,
very true.
lady, I need a down payment now, or I'm guy. I mean, it's a whole different level. So yes, I love it, and you guys, again, I think you're fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
let's go ahead, Jan.
I was going to say, I think as far as relationships are concerned, it's
Yes.
always the relationship that we have with the clients is really, really important to establish, and it grows over the period of the months that we're working together.
You
But
become friends with your clients,
that's right. But
Yeah.
also the relationships that I have with Jan as the contractor and Karen, my installer. I mean, we've known each other and we've worked together off and on for probably the best part of 12 years. So we know.
You have a rhythm.
We know our
you
styles. We have a
Yes.
rhythm.
Yeah.
We are. It's a comfort zone. They know. They can look at my designs and they know sometimes where I'm going with things, even though if it's not absolutely clear on the drawings. And our relationship is really important as far as making the whole project pull together from beginning
and
to
it
end.
flows. And of course, all the guys, the labor guys that are part of your team.
Right.
I mean, you hear a lot about construction of any kind, how, there's like a honeymoon period. They
Yes.
show up, and then all of a sudden you're not the priority anymore. Wait a minute, I thought you were dating me, and now you're
Yeah.
dating somebody else.
Yeah.
But you guys and your teams were there every day, right, bright and early. I'm making coffee for them. We had snacks, and then they were there through dinner time, and it was day after day, very consistent.
They are very consistent, and the beauty of that is that these are my personal guys. They're my team. They've been my team for many, many years, and they are dispatched every day to a specific job. So they come to you and they stay there for the day. That's who they've been dispatched to. So you get a full day's work and sometimes a 10-day work completed in the course of a day. But they are accustomed to one another too, and they have their rhythm. They have a flow, and once they get involved in their day, it just kind of picks up speed and takes on a life of its own. And they all really like one another. They're family to one
And
another.
I like them too. In fact, when they were showing up, I would have lunch for the guys, and sometimes they would make their own lunch. I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you going to have the lunch? I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also going to say it's no accident that these guys were showing up on time, or in fact early, because Cindy probably made them all game.
Too much, I think.
A little bit of snack here and there, but we did have some fun. Well, let's talk about some of the pretty part of the kitchen, and I hope you'll go to the video today. Just go to cindykitchenproject.com because there's so much. But first, you, Jan Ledger, what would you say is the prettiest part of the kitchen when you see it now? When you think, you'll be thinking. Jan Harrington, can you think?
The prettiest
the
part?
color? Do you like the lighting? Do you like the
Everything.
countertop?
No,
the cabinets?
it's such
The
a
floor.
cohesive piece.
I really like the porcelain tile.
Yeah, the tile is stunning.
Now, porcelain
I
tile,
really
I got
love
to tell you,
that.
we had to have a slight adjustment to add a little more electrical beneath the island.
Yes.
And so they couldn't drill through the porcelain tile.
No.
That's how durable
It is.
and foolproof this they couldn't cut through it.
No.
And so if you're worried about something that's going to scratch or you're going to
Yeah.
drop something on it, it's
Yeah.
going to crack, it's not
Yeah.
moving. It's
Yeah.
great.
Well, we had to go back and get the diamond tip drill.
Yeah.
And then we could.
Right.
But that's what it took, was a diamond
It's that
tipped-
strong.
Yes.
I love the color. I mean, I'm a bright color person, but I'm really feeling that Jan Ledger, that your decision for us collectively to go with something classic, really I think is going to make the kitchen feel timeless, because colors come and go, and we can always add bright colors and artwork and accessories.
Right, and we really stuck with the earth tone.
We have taupe
palette.
and chocolate brown.
And then we brought in a little bit of the green with the
sagey.
countertop. So yeah, really bringing all the colors together. I have to be honest and say there isn't any one part of it that I prefer to another. I mean, just the overall picture, the overall look of the kitchen is just it's great.
And I would
it looks
never,
fabulous.
without your lead, have chosen 3 different kinds of hardware. Again, another fun, freeing opportunity, because you think that you have to make this one decision and that's all you get. But to be able to have 3 different types, I mean, talk about the handles. There are 3 different finishes and styles.
Right. Well, we had the 2 different colors on the cabinetry,
Yeah.
so we used the contrast on the hardware also, and then we took the same style of hardware and did the 2 different colors within that hardware. Atlas, they do a fabulous job with their hardware. I mean, they design and they produce all their own products, so it's like jewelry. It's jewelry for the cabinets.
Well, she was a jewelry designer,
yes,
right?
that's right. That's how she started off, and you can really tell that they do a quality product and they're fun. And it's just there are so many different options with that particular product line, and it's like walking into a candy store when you're looking through their catalog. So yeah, just pulling everything together like that, the finishing touches just really tops it off.
I think my favorite part is, and Eric, I want you to weigh in too, mine is to sit in the family room looking back at the kitchen, and it just feels like you're just swept away into this larger space. It feels so relaxing, the way that the lighting kind of plays with the walls and the cabinetry and the countertops and everything. But what would you say, Eric, is your favorite thing when you were there?
I love the counter where your overpass used to be. You know what I mean? I just love that
The
little
peninsula
area, because it's really fun to just sit and talk
with bar
while
stools and
someone else is cooking, and it just creates this really great environment. And to the Jan's point before, the kitchen's definitely the heart of the home, and especially when it comes. For some reason, everybody always migrates there anyway, so you might as well make it very smartly on your end a place where everybody wants to hang out, and I just love that whole feeling of it.
So how can people be smarter about their kitchen decisions in the coming year? As people, as you were saying, Jan Ledgert, is we are staying in our homes longer, and not only longer, but bringing our older relatives and different generations in this home for longer periods of time. What should we be thinking about? Hire a kitchen and bath trained designer, certified.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it really does. And what we were saying earlier is, sometimes it seems from the homeowner's standpoint that bringing in a professional like myself, it seems like an unnecessary expense or something. Well, I can do this myself, but having the experience over the years and being certified with the National Kitchen and Bath Association, it's a continuous education that I have to keep up. But it's not only have to. I mean, I love it. I love what I do, and there's continuously new products coming onto the market for energy efficiency. It's just really important to be able to put that out there to the clients and make them aware.
And having a licensed contractor, Jan Harrington.
Absolutely. I don't recommend that you do some of the work, particularly taking out walls on your own as a homeowner project.
Well, we'll go to CindyKitchenProject.com. We have the Yorkshire Kitchens website, J. Harrington Construction website. So check out these ladies if you're thinking about a dream kitchen. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. Say bye to everybody, Eric.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Eric.
We'll see you next time, and have a great weekend. I hope your dreams come true. And remember, the key is under the mat. Check out CindyKitchenProject.com. Bye-bye for now.
I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast.